Welcome back. How you doing? Yesterday on Instagram, I introduced a question that you could ask your loved ones instead of, hey, I'm checking on you, how's it going? Or how have you been this week? Or whatever, because lately it feels like the answer is really like, not great, things are still hard, nothing much has changed, you know? And so I thought instead of that question, what happened when all of this first started is I noticed that with my clients with spiritual direction, there were some really significant things that had happened to my directees before, just before all of this. Like that was kind of people's way of processing this experience, was to say, you know, I had just become whatever it was, right? So for me, right before the world stopped and everyone went indoors, I had just been down to visit my in-laws. And we were looking forward to coming back for spring break. So we had like one last really good socializing visit, family trip. It's a long 8-hour road trip, you know. And we were really looking forward to coming back for spring break because the other side of the family was going to come down too. We were all going to be together in that space. And so we were doing a lot of prep work for all of that, you know. And then we got home and everything changed. So what I would suggest is, if you haven't done it already, it might be worth your time the next time you talk with your favorite people to kind of reflect on that. Like, what were you doing right before the world stopped? Because it's really funny how, not funny, haha, it's really interesting how big shifts, trauma, wounds, sudden changes solidify the details before the change, right? When my dad died in 2015, I remember that whole morning, or I remember what I was doing just before the world changed. My husband was working from home. It was a Thursday because he works from home on Thursdays, and we were driving around and we decided to go to, we were just having a fun like shopping day for the two of us. We had our like Thursday breakfast date that we always have every week, and we were driving around to, what's that store? What's the name of that store? It's the Habitat for Humanity. Oh, it's the Restore. We were driving to the Restore near us. We got into the parking lot of the Restore, and that's when my mother and my mom called me and said something happened. And I won't ever forget that. I won't ever forget being in the parking lot with my husband, like all of the things that happened just before my world changed. So I thought, you know, we're kind of in 3 weeks where I am into this crisis where the world has stopped and everybody has gone inside. And it just might be worth starting to tell that story of, where were you before the world stopped? What were you doing before the world stopped spinning? And, you know, for some people it was not good stuff. Like I was really, you know, going through a hard time already, and then things got worse. And for other people, there were some really hopeful things happening and going on before everything got bad. I wonder, it would be interesting to see if there was anybody for whom this situation improved where they were. But it's a worthy question to ask because it helps people tell a different part of the story. And again, when my dad died, the greatest piece of advice I got from a lovely, loving friend and dear, wise, spiritual mentor for me is, she said, don't stop telling the story of what happened. Because in telling the story of what happened, you like unwind another little piece of the story, another perspective gets told, and there's healing in telling those stories. So find your safe people that where it's safe for you to be emotionally vulnerable and emotional in front of, and tell those stories. Okay, be well, be safe, reach out if you need anything.